In writing, we are going to focus on writing the middle of your story. Okay? So, yesterday you got to write your beginnings. And if you look at this chart, beginning, this letter B here, shows us that's the part of your story that tells who are the characters and what is the setting. That's what's happening first in your story. So, you should have written at least one page talking about who the characters were going to be and what the setting was. Okay? So today we're going to focus on the middle of your story. So you're going to need to print a second blank page or just continue writing your story in your notebook. Okay? Today we will write our mighty middle. I say that word mighty because it's going to be the biggest part of your story. Some of you might remember back in the classroom when we worked on small moments. Our middle of our stories, when we told those kind of stories, were always very detailed. Okay, that's where you're going to be writing more. So we call it the mighty middle. Be sure to include the characters and describe the problem. Remember the problem that you planned out last week. Okay, so let's get started looking at Mrs. Silva's story. I'm going to pull up my story from yesterday. Yesterday in my beginning, I was sure to include some details in my picture of the setting. Remember, the setting was outside with a tree house, and this is my main character. Her name is Gretchen. This is the fictional character that I made up. Okay? And in my picture, I also included some sound, right? Some words that we hear. Peep, peep, caw. So those are all things that you should have done yesterday in your writing. If you didn't, you can always go back and add that today. All right, so let's just review what I wrote from my beginning. Gretchen heard a noise. Peep, peep, caw, peep, peep, caw. What is that? She thought. So in my beginning, I'm really setting the reader up here. I'm making them wonder what's going to be happening in my story. Okay, now let's move on to my mighty middle. Here's a picture. Just take a look at my picture first. Do you see what it was? Yes, it was a bird. So in this middle, I said she, right? Not I, because this is not a story about me. She, meaning Gretchen, crouched by the path. It was a fierce bird. Gretchen felt afraid. So now I've identified the problem in my story. Okay, I said that she discovered this bird and she is feeling afraid. So that's the problem. Okay, that's my mighty middle. I have some more to tell you. I have another page. Okay, I'll be brave, she thought. She scooped up the bird in her sweater. So this is still the middle of my story. I wrote a second page to describe how she's thinking about handling this problem. She's scooping up the bird and she's going to help the bird get back into the birdhouse. Okay, or back into the tree, excuse me. That's her tree house that she likes to play in. The bird must have fallen out of a nest. Okay, so this is just my idea of what I did for my middle, but you're going to use a couple of tools to help you today. Let me go back to my chart here. I'm going to pull up these two charts to show you. All right, the first thing I want you to think about before you start writing your middle is our fiction writer's chart. Remember, you made up pretend characters, you gave the character a name, and now we're working on those adventures, the problem and the solution. So touch your paper and tell that story out loud. Think, what are you going to say on this page? Let me show that to you. So that might look like this. On my blank paper that I have here, I might first draw a picture of my character Gretchen and the tree, and then I might think about what I'm going to say first, right? Touch and tell across your page. Gretchen crouched down and saw the bird. She picked up the bird and put it in her sweater. So just trying to talk out loud, get your ideas planned before you start writing. It's always a good way to go about doing it, okay? Another thing I want you to focus on today is this narrative writing checklist. So take a look at this with me, boys and girls. Here it says grade 1, and then you see a couple of things here. The first thing I want you to look at is that one that says the word lead. You see that word lead? Lead means beginning. So yesterday, this is what you focused on, trying to make a beginning for your story. So use this to help you. If you think you did that, then you can give yourself a check mark, okay? Another thing that you're focusing on today is maybe using some transition words in your mighty middle, in your middle of your story, because you might be telling 2 pages of writing today. So you might say the word and, then, and so as you're going along in your writing, okay? Adding more details. And then this happened, and then that happened. So then Gretchen went to her mom. You might want to keep using those transition words to add more and more to your writing today. Okay, and then tomorrow we'll meet back here to focus on your ending. Okay, finding a way to end your story, maybe using some feelings to describe how your character feels at the end. All right, and don't forget our goal is for your book to be at least 3 pages long. A page for your beginning, a page for your middle, and a page for your ending. Okay? So let's just go back to my story one more time. Here's my beginning page, okay? Gretchen's hearing that noise. She's thinking about it. And then in the middle, I described the problem. Here's Gretchen again. And here's the problem. She's afraid of the bird. But part of what she's doing is she's thinking about being brave and she's scooping up the bird into her sweater. Tomorrow, I'll show you my ending, okay, of how I solved this problem for Gretchen. All right, have fun writing today. Bye.